button. So welcome to the Sarah and Abel show. We are looking at, and before we get into like where we are, I want to share with you guys this screen. So what we're looking at is, I think, I'm not positive, that seniors are done on the 15th of May. So what we're going to do is, because next week does start May, we're going to have a small portfolio that's just going to go over our three things. One little thing I want to add into this is I'm going to have you guys do a Toledo Museum small research piece where you're going to look through you're going to do a virtual visit, and you're going to find something from the sculpture, or that might have been what I was looking for earlier today. How about that? Where you can look around. So this is just kind of showing you the different parts of the museum. But I'm going to have you look through the collection and pick a sculpture that appeals to you. So we're going to work on that a little bit as one of our things. So inside of here, I've got portfolio due the 20th, just because it'll be the last thing we do. We are looking at finishing up our wax and clay soon. And then between monsters and doing the little museum research, those are the projects that we're going to have for this trimester. So today, so I've talked to you, and we've talked a little bit now about collecting newspapers. And now we're going to kind of kick that into the next year. I'd like to talk a little bit today about what we're going to do for our paper mache sculptures. And that means that we have we're going to do a little bit of research quick and think about it. So some key points to it. Paper mache has always been thought of as something that is A, done for just little kids. B, it is very popular in South American culture for things like piñatas or small decorations. It has never been traditionally looked at as fine art. Then we start to push the kind of limits of what fine art is defined as. And as we look through contemporary art, we find that when we can make things out of plastic kitchen utensils, or where Duchamp takes a urinal and signs it and hangs it on a wall in the Louvre and calls it art, we can start to explore media beyond traditional means. And that's what we want to look at. So I don't want us to think of, we're not making a piñata. We're not making something as a little kid. We are looking at this from a sculptural standpoint. So in that, we'll do another screen share. Oops. And make sure I pull up a chat menu. In case you don't talk to me and you chat to me. Let me know if this gets kind of freaky again today. I think okay. I watched through our video. Our video looked like it was okay though.
That's good.
Yes, because you know we do need the viewer sponsors.
We do.
You know, once we hit our first 100,000, then we'll be set. So if I type in paper mache and I don't put in the word sculpture, traditionally I used to get back a response. Now, of course, Google is pandering towards me. Google watches what I look for. Because I'm on my school account, it has on safe search, so it hopefully doesn't put up anything bad. But when you used to search Google and you would type in paper mache, you would get little kid things. Now, if we look up here at the top, yes, we have a little kid making something, but these aren't little kiddish looking projects. These are kind of nice looking deals. If I hit over to images, And I think probably some of the traditional idea of it, so we have these little kids working in bowls, probably with flour, dipping the paper in. Ooh, we don't dip the paper in. And we make things like a piggy bank, or you were covering a balloon for some sort of school project that you were doing. But as we look through this, we also start to notice some different uses of paper mache. So we have one, this was probably done with a balloon, 2 balloons, 3 balloons, probably done with a balloon, 4 balloons, 5 balloons, maybe a balloon inside of half of that. So yes, traditionally, we always have that kind of image of it's kids' work. But then we get into these kind of interesting, and some of these are hybrid, where it's actually someone has pulped material, thrown it into a paper blender, or just an old blender that they don't use anymore, and they've made a mixture of paper and water, and then they add some glue to it, and then you can pour those into a mold. Or you're using things like cardboard and paper mache combined together, probably a balloon inside. We can start to look at more kind of finished quality work. Things like these little mushroom guys, which are creative in their aspect. Scrolling down, we start to get some different ideas. This paper mache piece is, again, probably a press mold, where they've pressed the paper down onto something or something into the paper, and then as the glue hardens, they can peel out that something. Masks, we can definitely make masks. And then we have this kind of thing from the artist that I'm going to look at. And when you did Sculpture 1, we looked at Dan and his kind of cool. And then we get to these sort of things. And we're going to pop it up. It took us this far down. We have these really beautiful masks. Italian opera masks are traditional handcrafted paper. And again, it's pressed into a mold. It's mixed in with glue, and then they're hand painted. They're beautiful masks. Some of them have gold leaf on them. And you get these really decorative events. But those were things that were considered, they weren't considered how paper mache was being used in modern times. Again, newspaper and balloons. So we're gonna take a look at this guy here. This is obviously a school setting. It's a whale. It's not what I thought he was making. So we'll see if we can get in a little bit more information. I guess I can see whale. So this is obviously much larger than what we're going to do. Because if he is an average size human, then this is probably 6 or 7 feet tall by at least 8 feet long. And it's just a little article talking about him doing something. Art teacher at a community Christian school creates a giant paper whale for a musical of course, Pinocchio. So that must be the whale that's gonna eat. Oh my gosh, I just realized the whale goes all the way around this. See, I thought it was just this half of a whale. It goes all the way over. So that's kind of an interesting little thing from July 11th last year. What we're going to do is, so now we're going to refine our search. We're going to go from just paper mache and we're putting sculpture. And this should change our mind. So now, gone is the balloons. Gone are the little kids dipping their paper into a bowl. And we have things like this guy popping up. And that is a small paper mache project. When we were in class, we used to, we did the tin foil armature people, and then we would plaster them. And then instead of that, these are paper mache, and they're hand size. Ours is gonna be a little bit bigger than hand size. So little head mount critter beans. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I hit that button. I can close that one down. So back to what I was doing. Luckily, the internet knows me. So things like little pets. The shaggy dog, we'll click on him and we'll look at the shaggy dog later. Other little animals. And these are pretty detailed when we're starting to look at them. We're hitting a higher level of skill. Really kind of little funky guys. I mean, the color scheme on this is amazing. I think when I look at things like this though, like how this is, it's a smooth beak with a really cool texture pattern. If I'm making a sculpture, I want to make that texture pattern. I want to have that texture built into my sculpture. Smooth things should be smooth, texture things should be textured. So that's one of the things we want to consider. Really, really impressive paper mache person. To me, I think that in what we're trying to do and in the time we have and the fact that you guys don't have as many tools as we do at school, doing a face would be tough. Not impossible, but tough. These to me look like they're pulped paper that's been ground down and then put over and built up over a model. So we're not going to do that kind of thing. You could do a headdress, something that you could wear, something that would cover over. That could be an interesting video day. We could make headdresses and wear them. This is similar to that little guy hand size, but obviously they've left the newspaper exposed. So, and for something like this, I mean, your top coat, you could take an old book, which of course in my room, I've got a stack of old books, where we could do a coating or a finish. So instead of painting this, the paper mache actually makes the coat. And you go from the cartoon kind of fun, silly character to a real looking octopus to a whole kind of finished piece. I did have a student make an octopus headdress. So her head fit up into here and she saw through the eyes, and then she built the tentacles to sit on her shoulders and wrap around her body. She had to go sideways through doors though, because it was so big. Giant paper maches to hand-sized paper maches. So when we're looking at it, basically, oh my gosh, there you go, big paper mache. Not saying anything in particular, but kind of the Mardi Gras style mask like paper maches, full body paper maches. Those are hilarious. You can make puppets or marionettes. This kind of shaggy one, so we kept the shaggy dog here. Oh, it's a Twitter. Okay, so when you look at this, and oh, I wonder, it looks like paper, but maybe it's not. That could be tissue paper, where they've kind of cut some thin pieces, and probably this may be coated with a little bit of glue so it stiffens, but the core of it is probably glued in place. Eyes, using marbles for eyes, that would be a good one. If you have any polymer clay at home that you want to use for like little pieces, but all of this, we would hollow out the head, we would hollow out the body, we would leave front legs and probably back legs solid to give it some structural weight. But what we're going to do is we really want to look at this as a viable art form. And you, as the artist, are going to decide, am I doing things that look realistic? Am I doing things that are kind of fun and cartoony? Am I doing things that are abstract? They made a mold of their tree in their backyard. That's kind of fun. I would think that, and then they're using like, it looks like chicken mesh and stuff to cover it with. I would think that in this time, I'm not giving you guys a size requirement. We have a time requirement. So we want to be done by the 15th of May. By 15th of May, everything's assembled and you guys are washing your hands, done with this. When we look through, I don't care if it's something realistic looking, if it's kind of fun and quirky, or if we're doing something more abstract, cartoony. This one here looks like, to me, it's got plaster in it. That looks like, that is plaster, that is not paper. It could be paper pulp, but they look like plaster. Are we doing things that are fanciful? Is it something you're gonna wear, or is it something that's gonna be set out on display? Is it something that shows off your artistic skills? What is your message that you're trying to portray inside of this? So there's some things that I really want us to kind of touch on, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today, because I'd really like us to start kind of gearing up, because I think if we have a strong plan, we'll have a better final result. So when I say a strong plan, I mean, how are we plotting things out? So I was helping a student yesterday, and we were talking about sketching ideas and how things are going to look. We gave ourselves some rough dimensions, and then we took this and we started figuring out, okay, what sort of internal supports are we going to need to make this stand and hold up and be together? I think that before I jump in, and always, I'm the kind of person, I love to jump into a project, and I know that if I sit down and plan first, I'm going to have a better result. My end goal will be better than if I just jump in. Now, on that note, I also don't want to waste a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to do. I want to make a set of decisions, and then I want to build off of those decisions. So decision one is going to be, what are you going to make? And to me, that's going to be, that's the first thing I want to write down. What am I going to make? Then I'm going to decide with that what, how am I going to approach this? Am I going to approach this? I want to make an octopus, and I want to make it look as realistic as I can. I'm going to make a spider because I know my friend is scared of spiders, and I'm going to make this look like a big, scary spider. So I might embellish it, so it doesn't look necessarily like a real spider. It looks like a real scary spider. I'm going to make a piece that is more cartoony and fun. I have young nieces and nephews that come to see me, and I want something that when they look at, they're not scared of. So we're going to make first, what are we going to do? And then our approach to that what. Once we have those two things down, then we're going to start to make some sketches and development ideas. And as we sketch, that's where we want to start to think about size. And so this is my 12-inch ruler, 12-inch ruler. And I want to think of how much space is this going to take up. I want to know before I start what my goal is in putting it all together. You could have a very intricate, detailed, nice piece that sits in the palm of your hand. On the same note, you could have a really large piece that has cool details and stuff to it that sits on your desk. So it depends on what you want for your end result to be. What is the, and that goes back to those first two questions, and then we'll figure out size from that. I will say this, it must be no smaller than, we'll say, 8 cubic inches, 8 cubic inches. And I don't think I would try to do anything bigger than 2 cubic feet. So, or will it sit on a shelf somewhere, or is it going to sit like on my dresser when I go to college? Once you have all that figured out, then we can start to figure out what kind of internal supports do we need. For base level paper mache, if it's a small sculpture, we can probably get away with cardboard as its internal support. For a large sculpture, we're probably going to have to upgrade, and that's where we start to look for like metal hangers. So if anybody gets dry cleaning, we can get a metal hanger from that, and we can use that to be our armature. You don't need to go out and you should be able to find a lot of the stuff around your house. We hope you can find this stuff around your house. Then once we know what we're going to do, I want you guys to kind of take your information of what you're going to make, either type it up in a Google Doc or snap a picture, and I'll put into our Google Classroom. I'm going to add it right now. Assignment. Now you put down advanced sculpture. Only one U. So it's going to be paper mache design work. And then I think that you guys could buy. So I'll ask you, Sarah, when do you think you could have your design decisions done? As in what you're going to make, what level of detail you're going to go for, and what size you're going to do?
Well, when is the wax clay sculpture due?
Anywhere between now and we'll say early May.
I would feel like I could have it like done by the next time we have a meeting.
Okay, so Monday, we'll go for Monday the 27th. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Cause I really like the one that you showed that looked like miniature people. I thought that was super cute. But I don't know, how would you go about making that?
So if I were making something like that, and it depends, are you going to make a miniature person to sit on your desk, or do you think you're going to make a miniature person about hand size?
Probably hand size.
So if I were doing hand size miniature person, one, I'm gonna set my detail level according to my ability plus scale. On a small scale like that with paper mache, knowing that you're gonna probably only have the tools that we had when we did soap sculpting. If you have an old pen, especially an old Bic pen, because if you use a new one, you're gonna gunk it up. This can become a very good tool to get inside to press and do little surfaces like around eyes, noses, mouth. The end of this little guy can be a nice creasing tool. The cap end can be something, the whole cap end is something that you're going to be able to use to kind of form and smooth areas over. So I would look for a dead pen as a good tool. Knowing that, you're not probably going to get to this kind of detail level. You'll get to probably be able to do like mouth, nose, eyes, but some of this detail, like this guy's got all these kind of back muscles here. We're probably not going to get to that level of detail. You wouldn't show all the lateral muscles in here, but you should probably be able to get like pectorals, some idea of where an abdomen section is. I would probably start with a cardboard kind of center structure. On that cardboard structure, instead of wrapping paper around, I'm going to ball paper up and I'm going to crunch it. I'm going to make body parts. So then I'll look at the major muscle sections and I would crunch up my newspaper, tape it a little bit, put it onto the body, make my pectorals. Is that a good enough size? Make my abdominals, and then I'm going to build my sides up. I'll build up my back. And then once that's down, I'm going to mix up some paper mache mix, dip my hand in the paper mache mix, put the mix on top, and then start to layer the paper in. put down a layer of paper, smooth it over my surface, let that dry. I might have some coat hanger for like arms or legs, especially if it's going to be doing something kind of acrobatic or some kind of different pose. If I'm making a ballerina all right, ballerina titles, if she's doing like, is it plie ta? I'll put in ballet first. So, as I realized you were staring at me typing, which is probably some of the most exciting things on the internet. So we have to decide, again, your level of detail. So I just type in paper mache ballerina. And these little pieces, I mean, this is just extra material that we add on for surface. This is some twisted, boy, I wonder if that could even be like a little bit of a pantyhose or a hair scrunchie dipped into it. And then her body is very slim. And if I was making my body like this slim, this might just be some coat hangers put together and then just a little bit of paper built up and then the mache over the top. Where I look at this one, she's more stylized. I mean, obviously, human neck and head are not that proportional, and it doesn't look like she has bones in her arms. But again, still rather thin. So this might just be a paper ball and then some metal hangers to help kind of make those shapes. This looks like it could be just tissue paper. Again, just dipped in a little bit of paper mache, left to dry, and then attached. You can see where they attach it up into the body. See if we've got bigger pictures. So this is, they've twisted the wires together, wrapped just a little bit of paper around, and then paper mache'd over the top of them to make these kind of ballerinas, and then added the clothes. So, oh, that's kind of cool. Paper mache ballerina slippers. If you were making like, you could make a mannequin where you would actually attach strings and you could do a little puppet show, entertain your parents. Oh, those are cool looking. That's kind of neat. So, and you know, ballerinas, I think of ballerinas because when we think of people, we want to know what kind of proportions. This, I could easily cut out some cardboard and then build up the surface with different pieces of paper, then cover that with mache, and then put paper over the top of it and make these nice kind of smooth effects. What I wouldn't want you to do is I wouldn't want you to say, I'm going to make something like this and then end up with something like that. or something where you're like, oh, you know, we want to be realistic in our approach. So if I take out ballerina and just put people, okay, that's a big people. That's a really big people.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, little folks like this, you can just see it's paper, some masking tape, and then they're putting the paper mache over it. To me, these heads, necks, torsos are very proportionate. And the legs get a little thin, but the arms get super thin. But if we're looking at those as little plastic cups, these are little small people. And I think that you could easily build them without really too much internal structure. You could use cardboard for maybe just kind of your starting point, but you could also just twist up some paper and twisted paper can get pretty strong. These guys look a little bit too thin and too delicate. They have pipe cleaners inside of them. So that's what they're using as their armature. I think I would rather use something a little bit more sturdy. When I look at something like this, I think of middle school kids. When I look at something like that, though it's stylized, there's a lot happening inside of that sculpture. So I think that is a little bit more thought out. These are not as realistic, but very definite character driven. I mean, you can tell their clothes, you can tell their ethnicity. That's kind of some cool stuff. So we need to decide what our people are going to be, our sizes, our level of detail and commitment. Those are hilarious. And then, are you going to tell a story? Are you going to showcase? Are you going to have an interaction? So you could have like the one reading a book. Are you going to make a monster? Those are, oh, that's kind of a big one too. Now that I realize that's a garage door. There you go. That's your first day of college class right there. Walking in and meeting people.
I don't think I'd make any friends.
Are you kidding me? I think you would make tons of friends. You think, now wait a minute, you think you would walk into your first college class with this on, that people wouldn't be like, that's the girl I want to hang out with for the next 4 or 5 years?
I feel like they'd be like, you know how like when people's hair is up and you can't see the board? Like I feel like that's the girl that I would be, and everyone would not like me.
I think they would all be like, I want to hang out with that girl right there. Because I would be like, that girl. And I would like, every time you'd look at me, I'd freeze. This is kind of a cool one where he's starting to turn to stone. All right, so enough of Medusae. So what we really want to do is we want to decide, one, are you telling a story, and how many do you need? One person to tell your story, or you need a couple? Two, level of realism. And then inside that level of realism, you know, how are we going to finish this off? Are we going to leave them just the paper person and the idea with like the words on it? So to me, the person reading the book, and it'd be kind of cool to have the words maybe going up their arm and slowly turning their body into the story. But I have to say, things like this are really appealing too, where they've actually made clothes. You don't have to do a lot of coloration. We can do, if you have some old t-shirts or stuff, you can use that to make cloth mache to cover it. Those gals just look like they're having some fun. So, and then we get into things like this. Though, is that really? Holy moly, that is paper mache. We got to check this one out.
It looks like gold.
So they're lacquered. So like we have clear coat that we put on paintings and some of our stuff. When we did the polymer clay food, when we did the Netsky style polymer clay food, some people used a clear coat glazing and that's what the sheen's from. But again, this is very story driven, pretty good proportions, close to realistic. As far as like internals go, I mean, probably just balled up paper. This is just twisted. It looks like a paper towel that the person has twisted, and then everything has been painted slightly. This could actually be that'd be cool if it was like a corn stalk when you shuck the corn. A friend of mine last summer when I was working was showing me some artwork where they did paintings on some of those. The hair is just kind of crumpled paper. This is kind of a neat little pattern that's probably on the paper itself. Maybe it was painted on after it was put there. So like here you can see how thin like his arm is. So probably just a little bit of paper there and then paper mache over. Man, he's got, I don't know what those are. They look like beans. Maybe they're big coffee beans, or they're just giant beans.
Yeah,
But
they're beans.
they're those are kind of fun looking doodles. That's a Day of the Dead skull. So once you decide, okay, so you're making a decision. You like the small person. You like the hand size. Now we're going to start to say, artistically, what is your skill level that you are at, and how are you going to push that a little bit? You don't have to push it a ton, but how are you going to demonstrate your skills in this project? Are you going to tell a story? Are you going to have one or a couple of people? If you figure you could probably bust a person out a week. So I would think I wouldn't try to go for more than 3 people, because that gives us 3 weeks. So if Monday you say, here's my sketches, and you start building people Monday of next week, and we go through the week, you could probably get your first person done, your second and third person done. And when I say you build and put it together and then paper mache, you might build all your people together, paper mache. Paper mache takes 24 hours to dry. So we're going to make sure that one of the things is if I know I'm going to work art just a couple days a week, I do all my work, and then I can paper mache, let it dry until I come back to it. We're going to try to do 3 to 5 coats of paper mache. That way they build up some rigidity and some strength to them. On that scale, really small scale, your guys are probably going to stay solid. We're probably not going to hollow them out. We would only hollow them out if like the head became too heavy for the body and you have to kind of cut a little bit, pull it out to hollow that head so that it's lighter. So we're going to say, so boop-a-doop. Nope. Where did I put that? Did I close that? Oh, there it is. Okay. So we're going to do number 1, concept ideas. 2 is going to be skill level. And 3 is going to be sketches with sizes. And that'll be due Monday. So I'll put that in right now. That just went into our advanced folder under sketches. It might not have gone under sketches. Nope, it did. Okay. I'm not as bad as I think I am sometimes. And then if we can get those design concepts down, then we can start to put things together. If you're going to do small people, so we're going to say that our person, so grab my ruler. If our people are all standing up, we're probably going to be around 8 inches. So this guy is only 6 inches. And I think he might be a little too compact in size. This is a 3D printed guy, so he's plastic. But I think if I were making a paper mache person, I think that might be kind of tight to try to do. I think at 8 inches, we can use classic Greek proportioning, where every inch becomes 1 inch is a head, and you can lay the body out on an 8-inch space style. That's going to give you a little bit more elongated body. So male figure would be 2 inches from shoulder to shoulder. A female would be 1.5 inches from shoulder to shoulder. Arms are going to be about 2.5 inches long. Legs are going to be about 4 inches from hip to bottom of foot. Torso from bottom of groin to shoulders is probably going to be about 3.5 inches. So when you start to break in those proportions, you're going to easily be able to kind of lay out your person. And then when you make your parts, you can have like a little scale, or if you have any of that 1-inch grid paper, I had some set out, but we all know how setting things out in the lobby went.
Yeah.
So if you have any of that, I mean, you could set down, because it's a 1-inch grid. You could build your head, set it on the grid, build your arm parts, set them on the grid. And then when you start to put your stuff together, if you have an armature, you can start to put it onto the armature. Or you could cut out a cardboard dolly and lay your cardboard down and then put your pieces onto it. Sound like a plan, Stan?
Yeah, sounds good.
And then if you need help in there on the wax at all, we can do that. Did you find anything for eyes?
I haven't found anything yet. My mom was at the hospital yesterday, so I couldn't find her sewing thingy. But she's coming home today, so I'll track her down, make her help me find it.
I will continue to search around and see if I have BBs. Somewhere in my house I have BBs. The question is where.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is, if I can find those guys, I'll pull out. I have a caliper and I'll measure it, and then we'll talk about that, and we'll try to. I'll make a note to myself. Sarah BBs. In 1,000 years, when the aliens come and they find all my notes, they're going to wonder what the heck I was talking about most of the time. So I will look for that, or if I can find any like little ball bearings or anything, and I'll check around with some of my peeps. And then if we have to, we'll mail them to you or something. I found a file to do 3D masks. So as soon as I can, I'll print one up for your mom.
Oh, that'll be cool. She'll like that.
And then the one design I'm looking at, let's do, where did I put it? Here we go. I'll show you. Of course, it goes onto the wrong screen. Nope, that's not it. It's similar to that shape, but it's got a spot to put. Yes. I don't know why it came out like that. Okay. So it's going to have 2 little screw-in caps, and then you can put replaceable filters inside of there.
That's
and
cool.
Then I'll probably try to seal the outside of it, just to make sure nothing can get through. But then, and I'll send these instructions. I'll send these instructions to you, because this person goes like really overboard and does surface filler and all that. And to me, you could, I think if you paint the surface, then it's going to be just fine. Because the big thing is he was saying that, you know, it's micron, there's micron gaps in it, and the virus could get through the gaps. And then how he does, so he puts on this little sealer thing, but I don't know how comfortable that would be. I'd probably want to find something a little bit more comfortable, I think, than what that plastic looked like. But then he just takes a surgical mask and cuts it apart to make the filters. And then it'll look something like that. And then that's where you would put the straps to put it on. So as soon as I get my printer back up and going, because I have a friend of mine whose wife is a nurse, and then another person I know who's working in a nursing home, and I've got your mom on the list to print some.
Nursing homes would suck to work in right now.
I heard, what was it? A nursing home that had 70 some employees, 65 of them tested positive for COVID. And so many of them had been off, and like out of the ones that were, obviously anybody who tested positive was off, but they were starting to return back, and they were afraid that they're going to start to get like a secondary COVID infection. So it's very scary thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, so you feeling pretty good?
Yeah. I'll try and look around my house for like cardboard and wires and stuff to see like what I can make the person out of.
Yeah. My first go-to is always, so if anybody gets anything dry cleaned, I take one of those hangers.
I don't think, God, I could ask, but I don't think so.
Okay. Look, ask your mom, because moms usually have them hidden in closets. Like my wife, when she used to get stuff dry cleaned, and she would take the hangers back. And the one day she's like, oh, I need to go pick up dry cleaning. I'm like, you get dry cleaning? And she goes, yes. And then she's like, oh yeah, I've got to grab these hangers and take them back. I'm like, oh no, wait, no, I'll take those suckers to school. And like the dry clean guy, like when I walked into the place, he's got like a whole bin of, he's like, yeah, those are hangers that, he goes, they're bent or something, or for some reason they weren't using them. And he had a whole like box of them. I'm like, can I take some? My wife's like, stop it, put them down. And I just took an armful with me. So, and it lasted me for like 2 years. Miss Kiefer was really good too. She gets some dry cleaning.
Yeah, she strikes me as a person who gets dry cleaning.
Yep. Because she saves them for me. And then like at the beginning of the school year, she'll be like, when do you want them? And I'll say, okay, here's when I have sculpture classes. And she'll just bring me in like a bag full.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So if we're good, I will talk to you Monday, and you have a nice weekend.
You too.
All right, bye, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like us. Leave a comment below.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to 100. What you said, 100,000 views?
100,000, and you and I are making some money there for your college.
Yeah, that'll be nice. And we could split it so you could like have some for your art supplies and stuff.
That'll be the bonus there.
Yeah.
So just remember, YouTube, 100,000, that's what we're going for.
Yeah.
The first time I get a comment below, I'll probably be like, ah.
We're famous.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've gotten a like. So all right, Sarah, you have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.